All right, today we're going to talk about a classic underdog story from the world of AI. It's about a small, very smart model that's taking on a massive problem. How to read the kind of messy, real-world documents that trip up even the biggest AI giants. So take a look at this. On the left, you've got a perfect, clean digital document. This is AI's comfort zone, right? Everything's neat and tidy. But on the right, well, that's the real world. That's a photo you or I would take on our desk. It's skewed, the lighting's all wrong, and this is where things get really, really hard for AI. And it kind of begs the question, doesn't it? We have these incredible AIs that can generate entire photorealistic worlds from a sentence, but they can still get completely stomped by a crumpled receipt. How is that possible?
Well, this whole problem actually has a name. It's called the real-world document gap, and it's a huge blind spot for a lot of the AI we use every single day.
You know, the researchers at Baidu really said it best. They pointed out that things like warped pages, shadows, and all those weird distortions are, and I'm quoting here, significant hurdles that even the most advanced AI hasn't been able to deal with. Well, until now, maybe.
So, every good story needs a hero, right? And this is where our contender enters the ring, a new kind of AI that was built from the ground up to close this exact gap.
Let me introduce you to PaddleOCR-VL version 1.5. Now, that OCR part just stands for optical character recognition, which is basically the science of teaching computers how to read. This model is a special type of vision language model, or VLM, and its one and only mission is to master these messy, real-world documents. Okay, now this is where the story gets really wild. We live in an age where AI models are measured by their number of parameters. You can think of them like tiny little dials the AI uses to think. And we're used to hearing about models with hundreds of billions, even trillions of them. This model, it has just 0.9 billion. It is incredibly lightweight. So you're probably asking yourself, how on earth does an AI that small compete with the giants? Well, the answer isn't about more power. It's about being smarter. This is a classic case of working smarter, not just bigger. And the secret sauce is something called layout analyses. Forget just spotting individual letters on a page. This is about the AI seeing the whole picture. It understands the structure, where the title is, what's a paragraph, what's a table, so it can figure out the right way to read everything, even if the page is completely warped. Yeah, I know, this looks a little complicated, but the main idea here is super simple. Most AIs just see a bunch of boxes with text in them. But this model, as you can see from those arrows on the right, understands the flow. It's not just seeing words, it's following the logical path of information down the page. And get this, it is not a one-trick pony. The same basic model has been trained to do all kinds of other things, like spotting text on street signs out in the wild, or even reading the super tricky curved text you find on official seals. It's incredibly versatile. Okay, so you have this new contender with a secret weapon. What do? You have to test it. So the researchers built what I can only describe as the ultimate AI gauntlet, a brand new test designed specifically to throw all the messiness of the real world at these models. First up in the gauntlet, warping. This is what happens when you're trying to scan a book and the page isn't perfectly flat. Can the AI still make sense of the text when the lines start to curve and bend all over the place? Next challenge, illumination. I mean, the real world isn't some perfectly lit photo studio, right? So what happens when you have dark shadows cutting across the page or a bright glare washing out the text? And for the final boss, taking a picture of a computer screen. This is one of the toughest challenges because it creates those bizarre wavy patterns and all sorts of digital artifacts that can just completely scramble an AI's brain. All right, so the stage is set. The challenges are absolutely brutal. How did our little contender do? Let's dive into the results. I mean, just look at this. This is the definition of David versus Goliath. On one side, you have our specialized model with a tiny 0.9 billion parameters. On the other, a massive general-purpose model with over 235 billion. That's more than 260 times larger. And the winner is the little guy. I am not kidding. On this incredibly tough real-world test, PaddleOCR-VL is right there at the top of the leaderboard. It beat models hundreds of times its size, including huge names like Google's Gemini Pro and even OpenAI's GPT-4o. And let's just drill down into that for a second. In the skew category, those really badly angled photos, it hit over 91% accuracy. That's a staggering 14% jump over the last version. It didn't just get a little better, it took a giant leap forward. So this is all really cool tech, but let's talk about the big picture. Why does a breakthrough like this actually matter to us in the real world? Well, for one, it means we can finally start to unlock all the knowledge that's been trapped in messy, hard-to-read documents for decades. For businesses and scientists, that means much better data. It also proves that cutting-edge AI doesn't have to be gigantic and expensive, which makes it way more accessible for everyone. And really, it just paves the way for AI that's more useful and reliable out in the messy, unpredictable world we all live in. Which kind of leaves us with this final big question to chew on. If a small, efficient AI can finally crack the code on reading the world's unreadable documents, what other problems that we think are impossible today are just waiting for a smarter, not just bigger solution to come along?